Welcome to Aging Untold. Today's conversation is about an untold form of grief. Often when we think of grief, we think of the loss of a loved one, but that's just one kind of loss. Whether it's an aging parent grappling with no longer being able to do things they loved, like driving, or children watching their parents struggle with simple tasks like walking upstairs. For both older adults and their caregivers, there's the loss of something. Amy, this type of grief we're talking about is a little different from what most folks think about when we talk about a loss, right?
Yeah, I think when people think about grief, they think death and then they think divorce. And they don't realize that with every loss of a limb, loss of use of your hand, you're in grief. And there are stages of grief that you experience with every single loss. And some of the issues that happen are not recognizing that you're in grief, that you can't go to the grocery store alone anymore.
Right. Mm-hmm. And grief happens through all kinds of things. I tell people all the time, empty nesters are grieving. They're grieving being that parent to that child as their kids have now moved out into adulthood. And sometimes it can be devastating. And so we don't talk about it a lot of times, but it's called anticipatory grief when you're grieving what's going to happen, what you know the inevitable is. Mm-hmm. And you're not just the only one grieving. Your family is grieving as well, and the people around you.
I mean, I think the children are shocked. Parents are living it. Children are like, what's going on? And when you look at things that are occurring in the body, people will start to suppress things. And one thing I have always said is what your mind suppresses, your body expresses. Okay. And what do we mean by that? We mean you start physiologically, whenever you have a stressor on your body, you start this, what we call the cortisol reaction. Increased cortisol, increased blood pressure, inflammation starts going on. People start getting sick, or you start having more medical conditions occurring. That's what's going on. The body is expressing itself in a way that you suppressed.
So it's really important that we try to stay in a state of hopefully joy as close to it as we can get, and kind of giving ourselves pep talks, encouraging each other, but also what are some maybe medical things that we could do to support that kind of feeling that, you know, things
Being
are well.
able to, like Amy says, see a therapist. I mean, talking about things is instead of suppressing them. I mean, you have to have an out. Yeah. And a lot of times that out is communication and talk to someone else that can help you work through it.
What I've recognized in people is when you say the stages of grief are denial, anger, sadness, bargaining, acceptance. There's other versions. Sure. Death and Dying, the first book that was ever written by Dr. Kubler-Ross. I love that book. But when you see those stages, you can recognize where you might be in that process.
But you have to recognize not everyone's in the same stage you're in. And that's where it's really hard, because I might be, as your child, in acceptance. And you might be angry and mad as a hat. And I take your anger as a direct hit to me, feeling like you're mad at me when you're really just mad at the situation. You're mad at what you're losing. You're mad at that thought of, you know, we all kind of look at aging with these glandorious eyes, and we're all going to age a certain way. We're going to age the way we are today. And then we're going to pass away. And to think that that's not what's happening. So I'm mad over that. The whole thing creates that state of grief. I don't think we deny it. I think we have to accept that that's what's happening.
I remember, go ahead, sorry.
I think denial is the first stage of it, but you have to deny something to even get to the point of acceptance. But even though they name these stages of grieving, everybody doesn't go through 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. No. You may skip 2 and 3, you get down here, you come back over here, and that's what makes it so unique of an experience to each person.
I remember sitting with a client. She was sitting on the couch, and her daughter was running around, angry, like just trying to get things packed up. You could feel her frustration. And the woman looks at me and she says, I'm ready to go. And I knew exactly what she meant.
Sure.
And so I sat the daughter down, and the daughter settled down, and they had a very meaningful moment. But you have to kind of acknowledge, like the woman did, I'm ready to go. She could see her daughter wasn't ready. And it made for a meaningful moment. So recognizing, where are you in this grief process? Right. I mean, I remember when I watched my dad use a walker for the very first time, I had to turn around and start crying.
Because the man that you always saw as a strength, as your rock, was unfortunately limited.
Right.
And so that realization for anybody that cares about you, be it your children, be it your spouse, be it your close friends, that's tough.
We just don't want to let go of
Yeah,
the people
we don't
that we
wanna
love.
let go of the people we love, but we, you know, in dealing with this, we have to seek the help that we can. We have to reach out and talk. We have to talk with one another.
Therapy. You know, get a therapist, counseling.
Said I'm ready to go. That was the
Yeah.
same thing that happened with my mom and her mother. My mom was not ready to let go, and my grandmother, she was holding on for my mom.
Right.
But as soon as my mom had that conversation with her, she came to terms with it, came to acceptance, and she had a conversation, and she gave her permission to go.
So you can buy books. You can buy books on death and dying. There's support groups. Medicare pays for counseling. You can go to a religious institution if you go to one and find out if you can get support groups. There's grief support
There's
groups
grief
that are
support groups.
wonderful.
There's one elephant in the room that I want to address for someone, because someone out there is thinking about who they might be estranged from
Oh, absolutely.
or who they're mourning that's long gone, and they may not have those people to have the conversations. 30% of our population is aging solo, and that can even be due to estrangement. So that's a very painful issue. But all those tips that we just shared all work: support groups, therapy, and doing everything you can.
Support groups, because you don't have to go through life alone.